This time we're going to call to order the special meeting of January 8th, 2022. Councilmember Burns, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Perez,
Present.
Councilmember Resendez,
Present.
Councilmember Morales, Councilmember Burns,
Here.
Mayor Velasquez,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Here.
City Attorney Epperson,
Here.
Chief of Police Reynoso. Thank you. The record will show Councilmember Morales and Police Chief Reynoso is absent. Agenda
Thank you.
posting. The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council special meeting of January 8th, 2022 was posted on the bulletin board on January 5th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. per Government Code Section 54956. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to item A1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. This is the third public hearing on our redistricting, and I'm going to just go ahead and turn that right over to Shelley. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're here to talk about redistricting. This is your third public hearing of required 4 meetings. You're required to have 4 meetings. I'm going to share my screen. If that, would you like me to do that, or are you going to do that on your end?
Go ahead and share your screen, Shelley. And then, Shelley, I have one question for you. Will
Yes.
council be deciding on a map tonight for us to provide for introduction of ordinance on the 18th? Or would we be deciding on the 18th?
The law says that you have to have 4 public hearings before you adopt a plan.
So
So
we
I
decide on
don't,
the 18th.
I'm not an attorney, so I don't know what implications that implies, but that is what the law says. I was just rereading it this morning.
My other option would be is I could leave a blank saying that council adopted plan blank, and then whatever you guys adopt, we'll just fill in that blank and attach that map. That's another thing I was thinking, because I need to place that on the agenda for the public to see. And so I would probably place all 4 of the plans and then say council will decide on one of them.
Yeah, I can't advise, so however you typically do things, I wouldn't have an opinion about
Thank you,
that.
Shelley.
Christine, this is Jason. As far as what you just described, that sounds the proper procedure to me.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move forward.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Great. So this is the third public hearing of required 4 public hearings. I'm going to do a quick review of why you are in this process, why Hollister's City Council district boundaries need to be changed. I will review the 4 maps that have been provided publicly. And there'll be council discussion. And if you want live plan modifications, I can do that as well after the discussion. So here are your current council districts. And I'm gonna, you have a very long District 1. So to look at the plan, the map a little better, we're gonna just focus in on, zoom in here. And this is your current boundaries. One of the goals is to straighten out as many boundaries or make them more clearly identifiable if we can. So you might notice that the plans that we have suggested have a more identifiable boundaries than your current plan. Now, the main reason that we're here is that the district boundaries need to be relatively equal in population size. Your total district population, your total city council, city boundary population is 41,934. So 1/4 of that is 10,484. That's what we're aiming for each council district. But we have some leeway. And the difference between the smallest and the largest council district can be up to 1,048 persons. So that's our deviation, and deviation is measured as a percent of the ideal district size. So the difference between the least and most populous district is then divided by the ideal district size, and that gives us a percent deviation, and that has to be less than 10%. Your current district boundaries have a deviation of 16.5%. District 4 is too small by 10%, and districts 1 and 2 are too large by 5 and 6.5%. So that's what we're adjusting today. So the first plan that we developed plans 1 and 2, and plans 3 and 4 were developed live by the council members at the last meeting. So District 1, one of the features of that is that District 4 becomes relatively large at 5.4%. One of the nice things about this plan is that it goes all the District 4's boundary is on Memorial Drive. So it's a very clear, distinct boundary. In all the plans that we're presenting, Council District 1 goes along Hillcrest Road and South Side. So that's another nice boundary here. District 2 and 1 boundary goes along Line Street and then jogs to West Side and then down Powell Street. So that was Plan 1, and it has a deviation of 7.5%. And here's a zoomed in map of Plan 1. And here are the population percentages. These tables provide the race, ethnicity, distribution of different measures, total population, 18 and over, citizens of voting age population. And then we have some data on registered and actual voters. We have if they have a Spanish surname or an Asian surname. The key here is the deviation at 7.5%. So it's well within the legal boundary of 10%. So that's Plan 1. Plan 2. This has a different configuration for 3 and 4 in particular. There's a slight change in District 2. It goes all the way along West Side Boulevard, the boundary between 1 and 2. And the boundary between 2 and 3 is West Street. And then in this plan, because you have, it goes along Airline Highway to Sunnyside Slope and then Clearview Drive. So that's Plan 2. And here's a close-up version of that. District 4 is a little more balanced, closer to the ideal size here. And the plan deviation, as I said earlier, is 5.8%. And here are the race ethnicity statistics if you would like to look at them. Plan 3 as I said earlier, was developed during the last public hearing. Districts 1 and 2 remain the same as in Plan 2. So this West Side Boulevard and then West Street. So what we were doing, as you may recall, was looking at how we could change Districts 3 and 4 boundaries. So this District 4 goes up Memorial Drive, then Sunnyside Slope, and then it gets a little more, let me go zoom in. It's a little awkward, these boundaries, but it's partly also because of your, the census block boundaries and because you have these unincorporated areas as part of your middle of the city. This gave District 4 a minus 3.6% deviation. And I believe you wanted District 4 to be, or some council members talked about the advantage of District 4 being small because you expect to have some housing growth in District 4. And here are the plan statistics and a 6.2% deviation. And then District 4 was developed at the last meeting. Again, Districts 1 and 2 are the same. And now we have fairly identifiable or more clearly identifiable boundaries between 3 and 4. Goes along Airline Highway, then Valley View Drive, jogs over to Memorial Drive. And that is very clean boundary. District 4 is small at minus 4.9%. It's the smallest district. But everything is balanced. It has an overall deviation of 7.7%. So that's well within the 10% deviation. And here's a more zoomed in version of this map. And we have data statistics, should anyone want to look at that. And these are posted on the website. And that concludes my formal presentation. And we can again do, I can do some line drawing if you have any other ideas that you want to explore.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments from the council? Councilmember Perez, go ahead, sir. Or Vice Mayor Perez, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My question is more towards the, actually, I was playing around with the website itself, and I couldn't, through the help of the staff, I was able to finally navigate my way to the current map. But when I would adjust it, I wasn't getting the calculations weren't being updated. All the numbers on the percentages on the districts itself would go up, but they wouldn't go down. I don't understand that. So I was, that was just my concern. And it's like, you know what, I'm not super high tech type person, but I'm not illiterate. And I was just, I was wondering, do you know what year this program was revised or implemented? I mean, this,
They've had more for at least 10 years, but they updated it for this redistricting round. Are you talking about Hollister's plan in particular or the overall software?
the overall
from the
software.
company.
The overall software.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do we have any other maps that have been inputted from the public?
We have received no other maps.
No other maps. Okay. I was just wondering if there was a correlation between that. But that's pretty much my question. But I'm still going to be at it, and so we still have till the 18th to submit any other ones. So I'm going to go back at it and try to figure it out myself with the help of staff. Thank you, guys. Nova, where are you?
And honestly, we're not experts at this either.
Yeah.
That's why we recorded that very first meeting where Robin did what all the tools were, how to navigate through that. And we made sure that that was recorded and on our website. So
Okay, I
that
didn't
would
see
be the
that part.
best thing to help you through that, to
Okay.
have that play, because who remembers everything they said, right?
Oh.
So it will step by step by step show you how to do that.
That's pretty much my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Mayor Velazquez, Tim Burns.
Go ahead, Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is probably more directed towards our city clerk as well. So Christine, remind me, when is the next and the fourth and the final meeting to discuss the maps?
Our next meeting will be the 18th, where we were hoping to introduce an ordinance for adoption with
Okay.
map selection. So I think we could make that decision, if not on the 4th. If we have to hold at least 4 meetings, then I would say we probably couldn't introduce it on the 18th. Then we would have to introduce it on the, thank you. We would have to introduce it then on the 7th. Then adopt it on the 22nd, because the 21st is a holiday. And then it would go into effect March 22nd, which would still be before our deadline, which is April 17th, 2022.
Thanks for the clarification. One of my concerns is a last-second rush for additional maps being brought forth by the community. So I wonder if we need to have a formally recognized hard stop, because one of the things I would like the opportunity to have is time to actually study and analyze, review, and question any thoughts I had on it. And I don't want to rush through this process, recognizing this process, once we adopt whatever the new council districts will be, as I understand it, that's for a 10-year period. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, and I also have concerns, as Vice Mayor Perez has expressed as well, as a lack of what appears to be participation. I've had members of the community reach out to me, and it's been suggested to me that they are going to submit some maps, but I would like to get a hard stop out there so that everybody has time to analyze. And what I'm concerned about is having people come at the last moment and then really want to discuss or debate the direction of this body. And so I think it would be beneficial to put that out, maybe in the social media platforms that we're advertising this in, to say, hey, if you want to submit a map, we would very much appreciate it if you would, but here is the hard stop date. So thank you, Mayor. That completes my questions and comments, sir.
Councilmember Burns, I was just studying the calendar, and I think we could do another advertisement and place on our website a hard stop date of January 26th, which would be after our 4th public hearing. And that we would have the ability to submit a good map for the 7th. However, then on the 7th, you would make your selection. We could introduce it. Then we would adopt it on the 21st and continue if that works. We could, and post that out on social media, as well as advertise in the freelance and place it on our website.
That would absolutely work for me. I don't know what the rest of the council's thoughts on that are, but again, I think there's some wisdom in that thought process. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm a little concerned that if a plan is submitted, we would like to have time to analyze it and run it through our software and then make a map for you. So I would prefer that it was actually a couple days before the 18th, like the 14th, January 14th, or in time for us to present to you any maps that were given, unless you want to have a 5th meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
thank you. I was going to say the same thing. It doesn't make sense to go that far out. If we're required to do 4 meetings, then the hard stop should be the meeting on the 18th. So if staff or the contractors are requesting to look at that, then it should be a couple days before that in my opinion. And then also, Christine, I'm just wondering, because last time we met, we said we were going to advertise it more to try to get more maps and try to get more public involvement. Did you do all of that from this last meeting to this meeting?
We did, with the exception of being able to place it in the water bills because, Brett, there was,
We would have missed the deadline.
Okay, so then I think that's sufficient enough in my opinion. If we do another round of advertising and we do a hard stop a few days before the 18th to allow the contractors to look at it, I think that we're abiding by not only the regulations, but we're doing our due diligence. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
as it is, we missed the deadline to advertise for the 18th because the freelance only publishes once a week. So if I were to be able to submit a public notice on the 14th, they would not be able to advertise that till the 21st. That wouldn't go in the paper till the 21st, and we would miss our 18th deadline. So at this point, we wouldn't be able to put it in the newspaper if we up that deadline to the 18th. We could, however, still post it on our website and push it out to social media.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Lapkoff, are we required by law to put it in the newspaper, or is everything else sufficient enough for us to move on as described by staff?
The Fair Maps Act says it wants to encourage public participation, and they make several suggestions. But it is not that specific. So, and you have done a lot of outreach already. I think perhaps the lack of public participation is because the plans are available. They are very straightforward. Anyway, I guess I shouldn't speculate why there isn't public participation, but you have done your due diligence in terms of encouraging public participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Why don't we-
Council, if I may, if we were to push that out again, one more meeting, we could possibly do an introduction on the 22nd.
Let's do this. Why don't we go to open a public hearing, see if there's any comments from the public, and then we can
I had a comment before we move on to that.
go ahead. Councilmember Morales, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to see as part of the maps, if there's any way to highlight the areas that are required. So for example, if we look at map 1, we definitely have the percentages, we have the districts, but then to highlight all the other requirements that we have so that we can see from a glance the various requirements and we can properly analyze the information instead of going back and forth. I think we need to make this process simple, easy to understand, and for people to be able to easily identify the areas that are required, but then also the best interest for our community members so that it's simplified. So I think if we can make it as simple as possible with the required information as part of the maps, whether it's either another legend or color coordinating or just adding additional fields in there as labels, then I think that would make it easier for public comment.
Okay, any other comments from council before we go to open a public hearing? All right, this time we'll open a public hearing. Do we have any speakers? Hearing no speakers.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, we will close public hearing. Bring it back to the council. I do have a few comments. I think as I understand, it's been advertised. It's been out there for quite a while. There's been ample time for public participation. I think what we see often is a last minute rush for whatever reason to change things that we've worked on for a while. This has been out there. I think the information is, I don't want to say simple to understand, but it is very, if you spend a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, you can understand the information of what is happening here. The lines are very clean. I really think the job that was done by everyone here has made it easy to understand. I'm a little concerned about trying to keep postponing to see if more comes in. I think we have 4 good options that meet all the requirements that are stated by law. Is that correct, Ms. Lapkoff?
Yes.
It does. And I think by putting it off, we're going to start having the same things that happened on some of the other important meetings we had in the past where no one participated. And at the very last minute, everybody jumped in saying how we're not being open to the public. It's like, no, we were open to the public. And the end result was we just took a lot more time to do things that we've asked the public to be involved with early on. And I know there's deadlines here, but I think as I understand it, the 4th meeting is the meeting it is decided. Is that how it usually works? The lines would be decided at that 4th meeting?
Not,
Or do you have 4
this is the
complete
first
meetings?
time,
Yeah.
is the first time we've gone through the Fair Maps Act, but I think you have to complete 4 public hearings and then adopt. So I've seen in some cases where they close a public hearing and then there's a meeting to adopt a plan. Would that,
Okay,
That'd
so
be something.
basically 4 completed meetings, and then those choices can be brought back at our regular council meeting for adoption. Is that correct? So
Yeah.
if we had that deadline, as was talked about, of 14th, I think I heard somebody say?
Yes, so I was thinking if we have to hold 4 complete meetings, the 18th would be our 4th meeting. We would then introduce on the 7th with the adoption on the 22nd, and then the ordinance would become effective March 22nd, which
And
would
I
still
think
meet our April 17th deadline.
Right. I think if we probably stick to the idea of the 14th to submit all final plans, and if if the public wants to be involved, that's great, to submit those plans, and then we could kind of move forward. It gives you time to review them by the 18th. We can discuss it and start moving forward. I just think it might be a mistake to keep putting it off and put it off. Go ahead, Ms.
yeah, just one more comment. The law says that any plan that you do adopt has to be in the public for 7 days. Has to be
Okay.
publicly available. So you can't have like a last minute plan come in and then just adopt it.
Right.
So what we could do is if at the end of the 18th, you gave, at the close of the public hearing, you chose a map, we could advertise that map in the freelance. It wouldn't be able to go, it wouldn't actually make it to the paper till the 28th. But I think that would be,
Well, maybe Ms. Lapkoff, step back for a second. If on the 18th let's step back even further. On the 14th, 2 more plans come in. You present those on the 18th. Then on a future date, we decide on one of those 6 plans, correct? It's
Yes.
not as if one plan has to be advertised as this is the one we're looking at. It would be, a decision would be made on one of the 6, correct?
That's correct. And in fact, if something comes in, say on the 14th, and we present it on the 18th, you would not be able to adopt that plan on the 18th.
Because you needed 7 days anyways, and which we
Right.
want, that's fair, correct?
Yeah.
So we just want to follow the rules, but I think there's a point where we move forward and we don't just keep extending. As I said, we've seen that in the past, and all we found in the end was really very little participation from those that were wanting to be involved, but really never participating. So hopefully we get some more. I think there's been an effort to get the word out. I know a lot of you have been working on that, but at the end of the day, if the public participates, that's great. If they don't, that's just part of our decision process of what we're doing.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask Shelley a quick question. Shelley, with us placing these 4 maps that, as we did in the agenda packet, which was distributed to the public and available to the public, would that be considered within that a 10-day period?
Those would be qualified for the 7-day notice. Is that correct? Yeah, and
I think
it's,
so. And I can't remember, are these plans specifically put on your website, like stated plan 1, 2, 3, and 4?
That is correct.
The website. Yeah, that's ideal. I mean, that's what people are doing, like a section, draft plans, or plans on being reviewed. And then they're listed on the website. And that is how, in my mind, that's how most people are reviewing plans, not from the newspaper or whatever. People are going to the website. And the Fair Maps Act really stresses the website. That's why you have to keep it active for 10 years, a page on your website that has all the draft maps that were considered and the final one that was adopted and the schedule and all the presentations that were made and so on.
Mayor Velazquez from Burns.
I think I saw the hand up, Mr. Resendez first, and I'll come back to you, Mr. Burns.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just not, I guess I'm kind of confused about why we're so hung up on the freelance, because it's not a requirement. So that's why I asked that question. I think that, like, as was pointed out by the contractor, most people go to the internet anyhow to look up things. I was just wondering, because Christine, it seems like you're very interested in getting in the freelance, and I would too, if it's possible. If we cut it off, if we do a hard stop, as the mayor suggested, the 14th, which is Friday, January the 14th, would you then have enough time to put it in the freelance as you would like to do? All the maps. It doesn't have to come before us.
Yeah,
You just want
Councilmember
to
Zedek,
advertise it.
I would not. So
Okay.
anything I submit, it has to go the Friday before. So if I were
Got
to
it.
submit something on the 14th, it would not go into the newspaper until that next Friday, the 21st. So I've always got that week lag.
But we're not actually adopting it until the following meeting. We're not adopting it on the 18th.
Yeah, it's not the maps that I'm concerned with, it's the deadline I'm concerned with.
All right.
Getting- Yeah.
And either way, I think that there's no specifics that say we have to put it in the paper. We've advertised it more than every meeting. We've asked for more than enough advertisement. So I don't understand. I say I'm going to go with the contractor on this. Hard stop a few days before so that they can have time to review it. We'll have all the maps on the 18th so we can review them, and then we can adopt at the next regularly scheduled meeting for city council is what I would suggest. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burns, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple final thoughts. I agree. I think the biggest issue here is to have a clearly defined hard stop date and get that out there if it can be. And even if it is only through social media platforms, I think that meets my expectations. I would say, Paul, do we have an ability to track the number of hits on the website to see how many people have actually gone on to this, to look at this? Because, again, I think we can only do so much. We've made more than a good faith effort. And so I'm curious about that. And then finally, I'd like to hear Mr. Epperson's thoughts on the city's efforts to this point in regards to this process. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Councilmember Burns, we do have that ability to track the number of hits on any page.
Could we actually provide that information to council at the next meeting?
Yes.
I'm not looking for it right now, but I think at the next special meeting in regards to this topic,
Will
I think
do.
it would be helpful. I mean, again, we can only do what we can do, and I think the city has gone and met that threshold from a layperson's perspective, but that's what I also like to hear what Mr. Epperson's thoughts are. Thank you.
And council, if I may, if we do make that deadline the 14th, we have to get the agenda out to council on the 12th. So there would be no way to add anything submitted by the 14th to the 18th because the agenda goes out on the 12th. So
Well, I thought I saw another hand go up somewhere.
Yeah, it was mine.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Is it possible to get the record of the hits for that site before then? Can we just email that out to the?
I can email it out to everyone.
I'd
yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, because that's one of my concerns, is how many hits we're getting. And I think we have made a pretty good effort as far as advertising this. I'm just wondering other people run into the same similar situations, that would help me come to a conclusion with that. That's all I have.
Mayor
Mr. Mayor,
Velasquez?
Was that you, Mr. Epperson?
yes, I just wanted to respond to to Councilmember Burns' question.
Go ahead, sir.
Councilmember Burns and the rest of the council, there's obviously the minimum that we have to do. It certainly seems to me that city staff has done more than the minimum. It doesn't mean that more can't be done. That's up to the discretion of the council. But if, as I understood your question, whether or not we've satisfied the requirements, I think we've satisfied those requirements and even gone somewhat above those. It's always up to the discretion, again, of the council if it wants to do more.
Thank you, Mr. Epperson. Mayor, I have one final
Oh, go ahead, sir.
question, please. Christine, in regards to the agenda, we're talking the agenda for the special meeting? No, for the regular.
The regular meeting. So
Okay,
council has requested that they receive the agendas on Wednesday prior to the meeting.
right.
So that's here for this. Now, Brown Act says I have 72 hours, so I could go to here.
Right. Well, and for me, I think, you know, we have rules for a reason or guidelines, but in some cases there has to be an exception. I mean, this wouldn't be the first agenda packet we didn't get on Wednesday, and matter of fact, recently I think we got one on a Friday or a Saturday. I don't recall, and so. This is important, and if we have to extend there, I would certainly support that. I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I certainly would, recognizing the challenge you may face, so.
Saturday would be the latest. My concern would be Shelley wouldn't have the
Let
time
me-
to
yeah, let
review a
me-
submitted map by the 14th deadline for us to get it out to you even on the 15th.
So, City Clerk, let me say, if I can interrupt here, if we were to do that, really the deadline would have to be by the 12th.
Mayor, can I make a compromise here? Because our meeting is on Tuesday, in January, to a point, then, you know, if it was on a Monday, we would get the agenda out on Wednesday. Because it's a Tuesday, we could get out on Thursday. If we made the deadline the 13th, then we could meet. It's kind of a semi-compromise, is that it would be due that Thursday, we could get the agenda out Thursday, and then that somewhat meets everybody's request.
So we would then push out on social media and our website that you have till I think the 12th would probably be better, giving Shelley, yes, she's
Yeah.
shaking her head, giving her
Okay.
more time to analyze. I would not mind getting the agenda out even on Sunday. I think I might.
I can interrupt you
I would have
there.
to do it on Saturday. It would have to go on Saturday.
Yeah, if I can, City Clerk, I think really the agenda should be posted on Friday. I don't want the public to come back and say, look, they're pulling a fast one on us. They didn't post it till Saturday and the weekend when they know no one's around. I think if we could do this by the 12th, it'll give us time to post by that Friday. And I think that would give the public the chance to see the agenda posted, and then we go from there. Quite frankly, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought today we would have seen some new ones from the public. So I'm surprised that nothing did show up. We went through the steps of making this happen. I don't know, City Clerk, if you've received any calls from anyone confused about how to do the maps
Only
at all.
council, only Vice Mayor Perez. And then I just want to let you know that on the 18th, it's a regular meeting, so it's not just going to be strictly redistricting. We're going to have other items on there as well. Yeah.
Right, and that's why I want to make sure we're posted by that Friday, last minute. But I can tell you, I had 0 people contact me, either through phone calls, emails, anything, asking me about using the program or even about this whole process we're going through. So we made the effort, and I know the staff has worked hard to get the information out there, and some of the council members. So, Mr. Resendez, I see your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I was just gonna say I can support the 12th as a deadline. Perfectly fine with that.
Okay. Did the rest, Mr. Perez, I thought I saw your hand go up.
Has anyone else here tried the map map districting? You've tried it?
I've tried it.
Okay. Just wondering. That's it.
Yeah.
So I might call you if I get stuck.
Okay, Shelley, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it can take us some time to analyze the plan, especially to make the map, the formal map. But what would happen if you have a deadline on the 12th, you'd at least know, is a plan coming? And when they submit a plan, they'll submit some materials for it. It's just that our materials may not be available for the agenda, but we could then, your staff could post to the website the plan as soon as we have it analyzed. So would that be acceptable, that it not be in the agenda materials, but that it would be posted on the website as soon as we have it available?
City Attorney Epperson, we would be able to submit that map then as a supplement to the agenda if it were received after?
I'm sorry, are you asking if it's already been in the public for at least 7 days
No.
No, not that.
or after that discussion?
Just for the discussion on the 18th, I can imagine a plan coming in. You'll know that a plan has come in. They'll have their information about it. We'll try and get it to you as soon as we can, but I just don't know if we'll make it to the agenda materials.
For me
But
to
it
get
would
that
always
out.
at least be on the website. We would post, your staff could post it on the website and it would be available on the website.
And then I can
Our-
provide it to
our
council
version.
the night of the 18th as a supplement.
It can be done on the agenda, and it can be considered as broadly defined a part of the subject that's being discussed and considered by the council that evening. Now, whether or not the council thinks that that's a wise idea and how the public will react to it, that's a decision for the council.
Right, and I would caution against that because something as important as this, what we don't want again is somebody come back later and say, well, you slipped it into the agenda where we couldn't see it as a public. And that was the last minute deal. And this is what we don't want. We want to make sure, and this is again, but the reality is by today, we should have seen any other plans. And we should be talking about just moving forward with the 4 plans. But I think we all agree, let's give it a few more days. The 12th, it gives you time to review it so it can be posted properly on Friday so the public can say, okay, well, it was up. We can say it was up on Friday for the public to see the agenda posted. Here are the plans. And so there's no way to later on somebody to make the claim of we were hiding something because we worked so hard on this. We've all been so open about this. And I'm just surprised it's unfortunately nobody else submitted plans. That would be my recommendation to make sure we don't have any issues in the future. It's too important of a document. How does the council feel?
I'm on board, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
I as well.
Okay. Mr. Perez and Ms. Morales, you all right with that?
So you're talking for the deadline of the 12th?
The 12th.
Is there any way, how long Paul, would it take to get those, to see the hits?
I can email it today,
Okay.
at least up to today's date of hits.
Yeah, that gives 4 days. I'd like to see it put out longer, but actually for it to be streamlined to, we have been putting a lot of effort into this. I'm okay with the 12th. I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah. All right. I believe then there's a consensus on that. Is that correct from the council?
So my comments are slightly different than everyone else's. While I understand that we want to move forward in terms of trying to meet various deadlines for complete transparency, community input, if things are going to come in at whatever time, I think we need to have the 4 public meetings and then be able to analyze the maps and then bring it to council so that it doesn't seem like we're rushing or pushing through something without fully involving our community or clearly following the rules that were set forth. It just seems like we're trying to, there's a lot of effort to push it forward. If Council Member Burns stated that we have community members thinking about submitting maps, I just know from our community that COVID hit a lot of families this holiday season. A lot of people had a lot of deaths. So redistricting really isn't on people's minds right now. I think they're dealing with a lot of emergencies, health, and deaths in their families. So I think we just need to follow the process and allow our community to deal with community issues, but also have an opportunity to fully participate in the process.
Thank you. Mr. Resendez?
Thank you. That is exactly what we're doing, right, Christine? We're having 4 public meetings and then we're bringing it to the regularly scheduled council to adopt it. That's what Councilmember Morales said. That's exactly what we're doing. Is that not correct, Christine?
That is correct. So we will, instead of adopting something on the 18th, we are going to wait and do that on the 7th. I mean, we'll introduce on the 7th, we'll adopt on the 22nd, and then it will not be effective until March 22nd, which is a little later than we had wanted, but we'll still meet the April 17th deadline. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mayor, for anticipating.
I saw your movement.
I need to work on my subtleness. I want to be clear, too, that just because we've got a hard stop date doesn't preclude somebody from coming to one of us as a council member to express their concerns, and we could certainly take that into account when we are reviewing the maps for consideration. I believe that's correct. It's a fair statement, is it not? So I think we've got it covered here. I'm a little frustrated on the folks that have reached out to me. I mean, I got reached out to on Monday, and it's Saturday, and I've not seen anything or heard anything further. And I very much would prefer for this to be a public process, which it is, but with a higher level of public engagement, which it doesn't appear to be. And I'm already probably a pessimist in the number of hits we've actually even gotten on the website. I'll be amazed if it's. I'm not going to put a number out there, but I'm already disappointed. So, thank you, Mayor, for humoring me.
Thank you, sir. All right, there's a consensus then that we'll have that deadline as of the 14th, and that then can be posted by
The 12th, right?
the 12th. I'm sorry, the 12th to be posted by the 14th. Ms. Lofkoff, I know that might put a little pressure on you guys, but seeing what you guys have created so far, I'm sure you can make this magically happen for us and the public. That work? All right. Okay, if there's no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Resendez?
Yes.
Councilmember Morales? Yes. Councilmember Burns?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Mayor Velasquez?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year, everyone.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Stay safe.
Recording stopped.